The truth is finally here.
Hello, I'm Marty Runick, and welcome back to TopGun Paintless Dent Repair Training. Okay, this is the last video in this series, and I'm going to answer some questions that you should or may want to ask me. First question. Okay, Marty, if you're such a great paintless dent repair tech, why are you training? Couldn't you make more money fixing dents? After all, those who can do and those who can't teach, right? Great question. This is the first thing you should be asking any paintless dent repair trainer. And the answer is, yes, there is more money in doing dents. I train for two reasons. First, I'm 64 years old as of 2017. And up until 2005, I did about 90% large dent type paintless dent repairs and 10% training. I did the training to decompress mentally and relax my joints. Arthritis runs in my family, and I felt I needed to pace myself a bit. I did enjoy the training more than repairing larger dents, but you can't make that same kind of money in training, unless you're a training mill type school, of course. Then in 2005, I had a surprise heart attack, which I was told was due mostly to stress, because otherwise I was very healthy. My wife told me I was going to take it easy, but I'm not the type that can do that. I really need to be active. So we compromised, and I started training 90% of the time and doing large dent PDR repairs about 10% of the time, mostly on Saturdays. The second reason I train is I really do enjoy teaching. I think it's in my blood since many in my family also teach professionally. I've been called a teaching nerd many times. So what about that saying, those who can do and those who can't teach? I don't believe that's true, at least not always. I've known several amazing craftsmen in many trades that love teaching and helping others advance their skills. My early mentor in automotive sheet metal repair was a world-class tech who loved teaching anyone who wasn't too proud to learn. If teaching is something you enjoy, it doesn't seem like work at all. And probably the three best craftsmen I've ever known were all great teachers as well. Maybe there's a connection there, huh? PDR seems to be a trade where everybody wants to keep their secrets close to the vest. I've been sharing stuff for free along with many other paintless dent repair techs on Doordating.com and other places for many years, including my students only Facebook page. Next question, why don't you have a 1 month or longer class? Why only 2 weeks? Some people say it's not possible to get everything in 2 weeks. Well, they're right. You can't get everything in 2 weeks. You can't get everything in 2 months. You can't even get everything in 2 years. Paintless dent repair is an art that you'll always be learning, no matter how good you think you are. As an example, there's still things about repairing large and complex damage on aluminum panels that I'm still learning, and I've been working aluminum for 43 years now. I used to believe in a 1 month long class, but I could hardly get anyone to commit to this as the time away from their present job and home was just too hard for them to manage. So I mostly did 2-week classes with an advanced class after a year's time. This worked very well, and I still do this today when needed. But I realized very early on that pre-qualifying my students was necessary because I was getting some students that just didn't have enough drive or fine motor skills to do this to a retail level. I also started insisting on a good quality eye exam for every student. Also, I realized early on that I wasn't training as efficiently as I wanted to, and learning how to customize a reflection for each student was a real turning point for me. I was fortunate enough to be shown the basics of how to do this early in my training career by a retired optics engineer from Bell Labs. And the guy didn't know a thing about PDR either. This helped my students to progress much faster than they used to because they saw about as much detail in the reflection by the end of the first day than they used to see by the end of the first week. And then I realized that by giving my students certain exercises, they didn't have to practice as long in front of me. As long as the student had the basic skills they needed, as we discussed in the second video, I found they could practice at home just as effectively. And this really freed up a lot of time. Long story short, I can now give my students a lot of the advanced techniques I used to teach in the advanced course, in the beginning course, and still do it in 2 weeks. as long as the student has the basic skill sets we've talked about. I also found that about half of my students never have to come back after a year for the advanced class, unless they want to specialize in doing large dent repairs. And we usually have time to show them the basics of that in the beginning class also. I believe that if a student is trained correctly, most practicing can be done at home. It would be nice to have a trainer watch you while you were practicing, but it isn't really necessary with my approach. Each student gets a customized set of exercises to practice at home, and the practicing is done by the student in front of me until I'm sure they know how to practice correctly at home. Another good question: why don't you offer mobile training? Well, because I'm too lazy and I can't take all the different reflections and all the other things I'd like to have with me. That was a short answer, huh? Next, why are your prices so low compared to most of the other quality trainers out there? Great question. Which leads us to another great question. Why do you train out of your garage? When I started to get serious about training techs, I wanted to keep the building, but things got out of control and brought my prices for training way too high, since everything in California is so stinking expensive. My wife asked me why I just didn't give up my man cave, otherwise known as my garage, and train there. Well, I didn't think that would work because California has so many laws about things like that, but I was easily able to get a variance from the county I live in to operate the business out of the garage, so I went for it. And since our home has been paid off long ago, my overhead was almost zero now, and I was able to lower my prices a lot. I lowered them by almost $1,500 per student. So I was happy. My students and PDR companies that sent me students were even happier than I was. So that's when I decided my man cave had to go and become my permanent PDR shop/training facility. I believe I have one of the very best training schools out there for about the lowest price you're going to find from a world-class trainer. Plus, I'm able to do all this in 2 weeks with a qualified student. So everybody wins, and that's the way I like it. I do get quite a bit of flack to my face, but most often behind my back, from a lot of other paintless dent repair trainers that feel I should get everything I can and leave nothing on the table. Well, I disagree with that for several reasons, but mostly because people with the qualifications I'm looking for to train aren't stupid. Motivated, self-starting people know instinctively when they're being squeezed beyond a reasonable level, and then it becomes a game of who's the better BSer, and I don't like playing games. So I train the same way I do dents. I get a very fair price, but I don't gouge people. I also pass on most of any discounts I get from tool manufacturers to my students. I understand from the tool companies that I'm the only trainer that does that. I do keep a small percentage from a couple tool manufacturers that go towards any new tools that get shipped to me from these tool companies, so I can keep my tools and accessories up to date. But I never receive any cash kickbacks from any tool company, ever. So when I recommend tools, it's not because it benefits me financially. And most of the time, tool companies get aggravated with me anyway because I'm pretty picky about the quality of my tools. Final question. Okay, Marty, for whatever reason, I don't like you. Are there any other honest, competent trainers out there? Well, yes, there are. I'll only recommend trainers that I've personally seen long-term results from, and that narrows the list considerably. The only trainers I can personally recommend right now are Mike Seawald from Gateway Training and Justin Miller from Modern Dent Repair Training. There's a link to both of these trainers at the bottom of this video. I don't receive any kind of referral fee from either of these trainers for recommending them. You don't even have to let them know I referred you if you don't want to. I recommend them because they're both honest and competent trainers who also believe there's way too much BS and hype from Paintless Dent Repair training schools today. There are a few more honest, competent trainers than these, but I don't have enough personal long-term experience with their students to put them on this list. Well, we finally came to the end here. I hope you've enjoyed this video series from our Paintless Dent Repair Training School channel. And I really hope I've given you an honest and realistic view of this trade and what it really takes to succeed in it. If you feel you've benefited from watching, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel. This will help us get better rankings and get the truth about this trade out to more people. And I'll be putting more videos out now on a regular basis since Tim Van Nostrand has been kind enough to drag me into the 21st century and give me his expertise in all areas techie. Thanks, Tim. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching and hope to see you in all the next videos. God bless.